Hey guys, and welcome back to KnightTime. This week we're talking UCF's win against Memphis, a 9-time overtime game, our playoff picture as of now, and of course our primetime picks. And also, we're joined by a special guest, head coach Gus Malzahn.
I don't know what I'm doing here. Not really. Not really Gus Malzahn. Halloween special. I'm Kyle DeWitt, your host. But yeah, we have a huge slate of games to talk about this week and a huge game against Temple to talk about, so stay tuned, guys.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Welcome back to KnightTime, everybody. The Space game was this past weekend, and we actually won a game. We actually had really good defense, so me and Taylor aren't sad this week. The Knights ended up winning 24-7 over the Memphis Tigers. Taylor, take it away.
Yeah, the Knights played extremely well on defense this week. I was very surprised with how it went. They held Memphis, who coming into this game, they had 94 games straight with 10-plus points, and the defense held them to only 7 points. When the defense is good, the game runs smooth, and we usually come out on top, which we did. And I think UCF just did a really good show out. As fans, this is what we really want. We wanted to see the defense pull out. This is the most sacks they've had since the Peach Bowl. They had 6 total sacks. But I do want to touch on the fact that Mikey Keene is still struggling with the passing attack. He threw for just 63 yards for an average of 3 yards for each of his 19 passing attempts. And I think UCF definitely had more opportunities to put more points on the board, as they had 14 possessions in the game and punted for half of them. Kyle, what did you think about it?
Yeah. Whenever Gus Malzahn came to UCF, we all thought that it was going to be mostly a running game. And now it's finally showing, because we don't have a quarterback that can really throw the ball as of just yet. True freshman, he's really not ready for the moment. But good thing we have Isaiah Bowser, Johnny Richardson, Tevis Coles, because that running game is smooth. And we have the 27th best rushing offense in the country. And we ran for another 250 yards against Memphis, which is what we needed to do from day one. And now Gus is finally realizing that we just need to run the ball.
Absolutely.
But on the defensive side of the ball, my biggest overview that I saw from this game is that we can't tackle. Yeah, we only allowed 7 points, but that's because Memphis kept on shooting themselves in the foot. We kept on trying to allow points, as we always do. It'd be times where we have that quarterback or the running back wrapped up in the backfield, but he would break it and then get the 3rd down and 7 conversion when we have him for a negative 2-yard loss. UCF was trying to lose this game on the defensive side of the ball, but Memphis was trying to lose it worse. So I think that was my biggest takeaway.
I agree. There were
game.
so many times sitting in the bounce house watching. It was like 3rd and 12. And quarterback, he's getting stopped in the backfield and then just keeps running. 1st down for Memphis. But hopefully we get our first road win this game coming up. But moving into our offensive players of the week, we both have the same guy, because Isaiah Bowser is that guy. I absolutely love watching Bowser play. He is so good. This was just his 2nd game back from his injury, and he easily looked like the best player out there. 26 rushes for 111 yards against the Tigers. He also caught 2 balls and was ready in all positions whenever Mikey Keene, who really needs that guy, needed him to make a play. His presence is really game-changing for UCF's offense, and he still isn't even 100%, which is exciting for the future.
I mean, as the coach of UCF football, being myself and Gus Malzahn, Isaiah Bowser was our best offensive player this week. Ryan O'Keefe also had a really good game, but we already know how good he is. But Isaiah Bowser being back from injury and having 111 rushing yards was huge for our offense to basically carry our football team down the field, because Ryan O'Keefe wouldn't have had his 25-yard touchdown and his 29-yard touchdown on his runs without Isaiah Bowser getting those 3rd and 4s. So, I mean, Isaiah Bowser is definitely our offensive player this week.
Of course, and the crowd loves him. UCF fans love Bowser, constantly chanting Bowser every time he had the ball, so it's a really fun atmosphere when he plays. But moving on to the other side of the ball, we did talk about how defense is getting better, but I want to talk about Big Cat Bryant. Big Cat Bryant had his first multi-sack game of his career, and he mentioned in his post-game interview that he's actually finally having fun playing football. He had 6 total tackles, 3 of those were solo. and he had two sacks for a total of 18 yards of a loss. I honestly had really high hopes for him at the beginning of the season, and I hadn't really seen him perform like I think that he is capable of up until this game. And he also did talk about, he was talking to his mom before the game, like, Mom, what do? I can't get it going. And she just said, have fun, go out there. That's what I think he did. So Big Cat Bryant finally showed up for me this season. What about you?
Yeah, Big Cat Bryant finally had a multi-game sack this season. We expect him to be our main pass rusher, and he finally showed that. He also did not have an offsides penalty, so that's a huge plus for UCF going forward. Big Cat Bryant, especially with the loss of Kalia Davis, he really needs to step up for the rest of the season because we still have a really tough test against SMU in 2 weeks and in 3 weeks, and we also have USF at the end of the season. So we really need him for that, and we need him this week versus Temple. But my defensive player of the week was Devontae Brown. He had 4 tackles, half a sack. He ended up coming on a nickel corner blitz and ended up getting half the sack, and he had an interception at the end of the game to seal it for UCF. Yeah, Devontae Brown, he was all over the field, really couldn't be stopped, and they also only allowed 2 catches as well. So Devontae Brown finally showing off as one of those main corners that we really needed.
Yeah, so coming off this one, we're moving into Temple, and the reason this might be an easy win, but we're going on the road.
No,
and UCF has not won on the road this
UCF
year.
Anymore. We cannot say easy wins.
So hopefully this weekend UCF will get their first road win of the season against Temple. If they keep the momentum going from this Memphis game, it should be no issues. UCF needs to create more passing yardage and go for the big plays. It's Temple. Temple's pass defense has played very well so far this season, which is kind of unsettling for Mikey King. But realistically, Temple has only played poor teams with passing offenses. So Temple also does not have a good run defense, which will be a big issue for them when Isaiah Bowser shows up. And I think that if UCF cornerbacks like Justin Hodges performs well against this weekend against Temple, UCF can come out with a huge win.
Yeah, Isaiah Bowser really needs to, he's basically the key to victory this week. Temple has the 124th best rushing defense in the country, and there's only 129 teams in the FBS, so it's really bad. They're allowing 221 rushing yards per game. So, yet again, Isaiah Bowser, Johnny Richardson on third down, Tevis Coles even when these guys need a breather. These guys are going to be the key to victory, and I don't expect Mikey Keene to throw more than 15 passes, and expect Joey Gatewood to come into the Wildcat package. Expect him to get a lot of carries, especially in the red zone. Joey Gatewood, I think, is the key to victory for UCF this week.
Okay, well, you are the coach, so you're the one making the big time calls here. But since you are the coach, we want to talk about the recruits that you're bringing in. And I think UCF is scoring big-time recruits for next season. On Monday, Jakari and Damari Henderson announced they are coming here next year, which is super exciting for the Knights' defensive future. UCF has beaten out programs like Bama, Miami, Ole Miss, and Kentucky for recruits. They also landed running back Jordan McDonald, who is one of the top running backs graduating this year. Linebacker Cam Moore is also from Seminole High School, like the Henderson twins, and is also the brother of UCF player Brandon Moore. And a common factor that all these recruits keep touching on is the fact that they were drawn to the coaches with UCF and the relationships they're developing with them. So what do you think about these guys coming in?
It just shows, well, I mean, all these guys are really good recruits. I mean, we're finally starting to get high 3-star and 4-star recruits, which is huge for UCF. We've never had that. But as the coach of UCF, it's because of my relationship with these players. I mean, come on, guys, let's be real. But we don't have enough time to talk about that anymore. We can talk about more about that next week. We got to go to commercial. We're going to come back and talk to Grant Wheeler about college football from last week. Stay tuned.
I'm going with Cowboys versus Giants. Why? Because I am a New York Giants fan, and I want my first pick of the week to be my team. I see an upset for the New York Giants this Sunday. Bet your entire savings, and I'm telling you right now, they're gonna win. I don't care what you say. It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna go Yankees 4-1. I think Garrett Cole's gonna give them 7 shutout. It's Garrett Cole. I trust him in this type of situation.
2-1 pitch.
The Yankees lost to Boston in the wild card game, and I told Johnny if my boys lose, I'd come on the show in this.
I have to go with the Raiders, I think, for this one. I don't see them losing.
Welcome back. It is now time for our primetime picks of the week, the best segment. I'm currently doing awful, standing at 16-10, Oklahoma State and Texas. I'm going Texas 35-27.
UCF keeps the 30 points per game streak alive. I'm going to go 35-10. UCF wins.
Hey guys, welcome back to KnightTime. So here with our segment, we are talking all about college football this past weekend, and we are joined by special guest host Grant Wheeler. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Taylor. Thank you for having me on the show again. It's always a blast being on here. And today, if you're asking what I am, I'm John Gotti, a notorious mobster from New York, the king of New York back in the 80s.
Okay.
And he's not to be messed with.
Gus, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty it's a pretty good one. I was trying to think of what I was going to say, but like the reason why we're in costumes is because obviously it is Halloween this week. So if you guys were wondering why we're dressed up, that's why. But yeah, we had a huge slate of college football games this past week. The first game that I wanted to talk about, 9 overtime game, longest FBS recorded game in history. We had Illinois versus Penn State, and Illinois ended up beating Penn State in 9 overtimes, but only 38 combined points. I don't know how that happens in 9 overtimes, but Taylor, you take it away.
Yeah, I'm laughing because Kelly's behind the camera, and she's a big Penn State girl. I'm so sorry. Yeah, over the course of 9 overtimes, Illinois survived Penn State's botched attempt at a trick play, lost its quarterback and a powerful running back to injury, and failed to gain just 3 yards again and again. By the time the game came to an end, Illinois was down to its number 2 quarterback, Brandon Peters, as starter with injuries. But Grant, what did you think about 9 total overtimes this game?
This game was so head-scratching, and as Kyle noted, like only 38 combined points in 9 overtimes, the longest recorded college football game in history. Both offenses were just struggling all day. I'm like, is this game ever going to end? Who wants to win this game? And Illinois finally put in the final punch, the final knockout punch on Penn State to end that game.
Yeah, between overtimes 3 and 7, there were no points, and there was literally just 2-point conversions. No team could score. I mean, I think it shows honestly how good both defenses can be on the goal line. But Penn State also allowed a lot of rushing yards this past game. I have to look at my notes one more time. Chase Brown had 223 rushing yards, and Josh McCray had 142 for Illinois. And Penn State has to go against Ohio State this week. So I don't know what Travion Henderson's going to have a field day against Penn State. Penn State's rush defense is really bad, and their offense is even worse. Sean Clifford is hurt, and you could tell that he was hurt in this past game because he was not himself. Because Sean Clifford is a really good quarterback, but not this past game, and he ended up getting hurt in the middle of the game, and I don't think he should have been playing from the beginning.
Okay, so that was Penn State was just huge favorites going into the game, so it's crazy that they even had an extra week to prepare and that didn't happen. But moving into the Wake Forest game that also happened this weekend, Sam Hartman threw for a career high of 458 yards and 5 touchdowns in a big play display and ran for another score. Number 16, Wake Forest defeated Army, I'm so sorry, Alex, on Saturday to remain unbeaten in front of a sellout crowd at Michie Stadium. Hartman was unstoppable and rarely pressured, completing 23 of 29 passes and hitting touchdown passes of 41, 54, and 275 yards as he matched the Michie Stadium record for scoring passes. Army never led, and a costly interception return for the touchdown in the third quarter gave the Demon Deacons some breathing room that they needed. And with Hartman at the controls, the Demon Deacons are a force, but the defense didn't really measure up against Army, and they face a huge test in November in the race for the Atlantic Division. What did you think about it, Grant?
Did the defenses forget to wake up that day? It was all offense. I mean, 70-56, the highest scoring game in their series history. Back and forth battle, a lot of big plays, especially from the Demon Deacons. Down the field plays, a lot of passes. Deep passes down the field, and it was just all offense. There's no defense, no resistance at all, and it was fun to watch, but you got to have some defense in there.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be defense played right. The Army does not have a $300 billion budget just for them to not play defense at all, right? But Sam Hartman looked like a Heisman contender. He was making every single throw possible. Army came into the game with a top 20 passing defense in the country, and Sam Hartman made them look like a joke. Sam Hartman, 458 passing yards once again, 5 touchdowns, and another one on the ground. I think Sam Hartman needs to be in the Heisman conversation, guys. I really think he does. He's not getting any love. He was on QB1, like I said last week, but he needs some Heisman love.
Hey, they're undefeated, and they're right outside the top 10, so, I mean, they're on the right track.
Honestly, he is doing really great this season. I don't know why he shouldn't be nominated.
If Wake Forest runs the table, there's no reason why Sam Hartman can't be in New York.
I agree.
No reason at all.
I agree.
He's got a shot.
So moving on to this Oregon-UCLA game. This game featured an NCAA record, and I just want to touch on it because I know there is some big hype around it. But Grant, what did you think about the Ducks playing?
Sloppy offensive game. I mean, I know at the end of the game they got the game-winning interception to seal it with under 50 seconds left. But again, they looked lackadaisical out there. They didn't look like they were ready to play. And they've been playing kind of sloppy the past couple of weeks. And to me, they don't look like a top 10 team.
Yeah, the Ducks look lackadaisical. Just like your costume today, Grant. Oh man,
I'm gonna put a hit on you, Gus. If
You're gonna
the
put a
Knights
hit
don't
on
win
me,
this weekend,
whatever,
I will put a
but-
hit on you.
Yeah, but back to Oregon versus UCLA. This might actually be a preview to the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon versus UCLA. And both teams' offenses, they put up 34 and 31 points, but both teams had 3 turnovers. Anthony Brown did not look great. No passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Anthony Brown just looks completely different from what he did at the beginning of the season. I think teams finally have Oregon a little bit figured out. And I think that they're really lucky they're going against inferior Pac-12 competition, because right as soon as they go against somebody good, if they make it to the Rose Bowl or if they make it to a New Year's Six bowl game, they're going to get thrashed. And it's really showing right now how vulnerable the Ducks can be. So I don't even know how they beat Ohio State to begin the season. Maybe they just weren't ready, guys, or what. But Oregon I think they're finally starting to come down to earth a little bit.
I agree. So I know it's coming up soon, and I want to get everyone's takes on if you had to pick a top 6 for the college football playoff coming up. I think we all can agree at number 1. Can everyone say Georgia?
Yes, Georgia easily.
Yep.
Okay, so here's where it gets a little tricky. I think Ohio State is number 2.
No.
That's what I just think with CJ Stroud and Trayvon Henderson. It's
wrong.
just my opinion. The Vine, it's just my opinion. That's what it is.
It's nice to have an opinion, but it's also okay to be wrong as well.
Okay, but I don't want to be wrong, and I don't think I will be wrong. So we'll see. Because who do you have it to?
Well, I mean, the College Football Playoff Committee, they're not going to put them at number 2 because it's the College Football Playoff Committee. And they don't care about the group of 5. But Cincinnati's my number 2 team.
See,
I have Georgia, Cincinnati, then Ohio State, Oklahoma, Bama, and then Michigan State. The reason why I have Cincinnati number 2, they have dominated every single opponent they've played this season. They struggled a little bit against Navy, but Annapolis is a very hostile environment, and I don't think Cincinnati was really taking that game much seriously. And with how bad they played, they still ended up winning the game at the end of the game pretty convincingly, and Navy had no offense in the second half at all. So Cincinnati number 2 is okay for me. The reason why I have Ohio State above Oklahoma from 3 to 4 is because Oklahoma has not had an impressive win all season. They're going against Big 12 competition. Ohio State has all impressive wins, and their only loss has come to a top 10 team in Oregon. Yeah, they're coming down to earth a little bit. They're still a top 10 team. And Bama's at 5 outside of the college football playoff because they lost to Texas A&M. That game was just mind-blowing for me. Bama almost came back and won, but there was no reason why they should have lost that game. And I don't have Michigan at 6. I have Michigan State. We're going to talk about that in Primetime Picks later, but I think Michigan State all around is the best team in the Big Ten, offense and defense combined.
Ooh, Grant, what's your opinion on that one?
Kyle, let me fix that for you.
Okay.
So Georgia is easily number 1, but Ohio State, I can see the committee putting them at 2 because, again, they don't like the group of 5. I can see them putting a 1-loss Ohio State team over an undefeated Cincinnati team, considering Cincinnati struggled last week against Navy. And then number 4, I'm going to have Alabama, simply because Oklahoma always seems to screw it up. And they barely beat Kansas last week. They always seem to lose a game or 2 down the stretch.
They go to Waco in 2 weeks. That's when they're going to lose.
And I have Oklahoma at 5, and at 6, I have Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. Why you got Michigan State there and not Michigan?
Everybody
loves Michigan this year, right?
Nah, Michigan, they haven't impressed me. They don't scare me.
Not at all.
See, I'm the opposite. Michigan State hasn't impressed me. I think Michigan. But I honestly think it's a pretty much toss-up between the 2, but I think Michigan.
Well, I mean, just because you dressed up as devil's advocate today does not mean you get to be devil's advocate, Taylor. Those
No
takes
big deal. Okay,
are
Gus,
awful.
thinking that you know everything about
Ohio
college
State
football.
at 2 and they have 1 loss. There's 2 other undefeated teams
Okay,
in
why don't
college
you win on the
Again, I'm
road?
gonna put
There's
Like,
4 others.
I'm going to put a hit out on you if your
Put
Knights do not
Wake
win this
Forest
weekend.
up
They
there
got to
for
win on the
crying
road
out loud.
eventually.
Okay, well, I do want to get more into some picks later on, so when we come back, we are going to go into our primetime picks, so stay tuned.
I'm in charge of the meeting this week. So you know what we're going to talk about? Basketball. The second thing we're going to talk about this week is basketball. Okay? And the third and last thing we're going to talk about is basketball.
Take that.
Look at the screen. we talking about this week?
Basketball.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Nighttime, our Primetime Picks, where it should be called Taylor's Awful Picks.
She didn't want me to introduce the segment because she doesn't want me to.
Yeah, I
hate
don't
on
want
her
anyone to
for
talk
Primetime
about it,
Picks
guys.
League.
It's really bad and it's really embarrassing, and I don't know why I keep doing it every week. I should just bring on a guest host for this.
You're not
for
even
me.
doing that bad. You just have
But
that
I
one game a
am.
week. That's just like, what are you doing?
And it's tallying up, and UCF has given me a lot of those losses. But whatever, no big deal. I want to talk about Michigan and Michigan State. I don't know. I think Michigan 30-20. I think the Michigan offensive line is among the best in the nation. Alex, stop shaking your head at not allowing pressure in the backfield. And obviously it helps that the skill guys who aren't turning the ball over. The defense is second in the nation and the fewest points allowed behind Georgia. And now it all goes against a Spartan team that doesn't move the chains all that easily and doesn't control the clock. I mean, to be honest, if I'm wrong, who cares? It just adds to the tally this year.
I think the mob put you on this pick, Taylor, because we have the mob here in show today. I think the mob put you on this pick.
Okay.
Remember when I said that you have that one pick a week that's just like really
gonna be
head
this
scratching and head turning? That's the pick right there. Because Michigan State is winning this game. Michigan beat Rutgers 20-15. Yeah, they beat Northwestern last week 33-7, but after that one time they made the Big Ten championship 2 years ago, Northwestern has been awful. They've not been good at all. So that's literally their only impressive win of the season. They beat Washington week 1 and they lost to an FCS team. So Michigan does not have an impressive win for me on the schedule as of yet this season. And I think they're going to show John Harbaugh is going to John Harbaugh at some point this season. So it's going to be this week. Michigan State, Kenneth Walker III is going to run all over Michigan's defense. And Michigan State is also the best defense that Michigan's faced all year. So that run game is going to be slowed down a little bit. And Michigan's only going to score about 17, 20 points. I got Michigan State winning 24-17.
Great. What about you?
So our scoring outcomes are similar, Taylor, but I have Michigan State winning 31-20. It's in East Lansing. They're at home. Again, Michigan, they haven't impressed me. Michigan State's defense is pretty good. I think they're going to give Michigan a hard time on Saturday in that matchup for sure.
All right, so moving into this next game, it is a matchup between our own Kelly and Camden with Ohio State versus Penn State. I'm going to have to go with Ohio State, 38-23. Penn State's coming off a disappointing loss to Illinois, in which they played, obviously, the 9 overtimes. And after that emotional letdown, I think it'll carry maybe into Saturday's game on the road against Ohio State. And Travion Henderson and C.J. Stroud will put up big numbers against the Lions. What do you guys think?
Yeah, It's Penn State, guys. After seeing what happened last week and no Sean Clifford, this game's going to be an absolute blowout. C.J. Stroud might be a top 5 quarterback in the country, and Travion Henderson is definitely one of the best running backs in the country. Penn State's defense is okay, but that Ohio State offense is just too much. And Ohio State's defense is proving a lot. They only allowed 7 points to Indiana. Granted, they were down to their 4th-string quarterback. But this game is not going to be close. I got 49-10. Ohio State is going to run away with this game at home. Penn State is not going to be ranked after next week. Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah, so Kyle, as you noted about Penn State, they have a good defense still, but they're going to probably be really drained from that collapse last week. I don't see them recovering from that. 34-13 Buckeyes. C.J. Stroud in that offense will be way too much for the Nittany Lions.
All right, moving into Ole Miss and Auburn. Ole Miss doing amazing this season. I'm going Ole Miss 31-28. I think the Rebels are playing exceptionally well, like I said, on offense this season, scoring an average of 41.9 points per game. I think Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral will pick apart the Auburn secondary. That is allowing an average of 250 yards passing per game. I don't know. I think Ole Miss is going to run away with this one. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I have to go with Ole Miss on this one. Bo Nix is actually playing really good football the past couple of weeks. I think he's finally showing who he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the prodigy of Auburn, and he finally played that way against Arkansas last week, but Arkansas has really been falling off the map ever since their horrible loss to, their really close loss to Ole Miss. So I really don't think – I think Matt Corral continues his Heisman campaign. He's definitely on his way to New York. I don't think that's a question at this point. And I think that he's the favorite right now to win the Heisman. I don't think Bryce Young is he doesn't deserve it. I think Matt Corral really deserves it as of right now. He's going to show it against that Auburn defense on the road.
Yeah, Matt Corral, he's continuing to play great. And it's going to be a shootout between him and Bo Nix, but I think Corral will outduel him just enough, and the Rebels will take it 49-42. But it will be a very high-octane offensive game.
I forgot to give my score. I think it's going to be 35-21. I think Ole Miss ends up winning. I don't think Auburn puts up a lot of points in this game.
All right, so a big-time game that everyone always looks forward to is Georgia-Florida. Let's go Dogs. Georgia 30-20. Florida won't win the turnover battle. The Georgia run defense is really just that good, and the formula will continue to work. They'll rely on the offense to grind it out enough for yards, and don't take unnecessary chances. Expect the defense to own the game, and you guys know my hate for Florida, so go Georgia.
Yeah, as a Florida fan, I have to pick against Florida in this game. Georgia's the best team in the country by far. And Florida's run defense is awful. When you have Zahir White and James Cook in the backfield and Stetson Bennett who can even run the football, they're gonna control the time of possession, and they're not gonna give Florida any possessions at all, even when Florida does get possessions. Anthony Richardson's not gonna have a fun day against that Georgia defense. It's not gonna be pretty at all. I think that Florida might actually cover the spread. It might be a 10-point game just because Georgia won't put up that many points. But Florida's offense it's not going to look good. It's not going to be pretty. It's the world's largest cocktail party, but Florida's definitely going to need a cocktail after the game because they're going to be bruised up. They're not going to be looking good at all.
This is a big-time rivalry game. It's going to be tight at first, but U.S. offense won't be able to handle that Georgia's defense for a full 4 quarters. Georgia's defense is going to be all over that UF unit, and I just think at first it might be close, but again, Georgia's going to pull away as the game goes on. I'm going to say 27-17 Bulldogs.
I do have to point out that I forget the certain amount, but if Florida is only a couple points behind Georgia, Jason Hamby said he would wear my old Gatorette uniform on the show. So we'll see what happens there. But moving on to
cover the spread,
UCF,
Gators. Cover the spread. I want Jason Hamby in a Gatorade outfit.
So UCF versus Temple. I think UCF finally, hopefully, please God, gets their first road win of the season. I just think with Temple not doing so great, UCF doing okay, I'm going to go UCF 28-14.
Yeah, that's the only reason why UCF's going to win this football game, because Temple's been playing awful and UCF's been playing just good enough. So, yeah, it's the run defense for Temple for me. There's no way that they stop the four-headed running attack that we have at quarterback that we have in the run game at UCF. Joey Gatewood, Johnny Richardson, Isaiah Bowser, Tevis Coles. That's really all we need. I don't think we even need a passing game in this one. There's a reason why they have the 4th best passing defense in the league, because nobody passes the ball against them, because all they got to do is run the ball. And what are we good at? Running the ball. I'll take UCF 24-14.
Yeah, as Kyle touched on earlier, Wake Forest, Temple, 124th ranked rush defense. That's going to show up a lot on Saturday. Give Bowser the ball. Give him like 45 carries. Just let him run all over that Temple defense. And if UCS defense shows up like it did against Memphis, forcing a couple turnovers, that will go a long way as well. Give me the Knights in this one, 23-17.
Please. Okay, Jalen Robinson also might be back for this game, so we'll see what happens there. But that's all the time we have for right now on KnightTime. Stay tuned next week to see how this week of college football plays out. Thanks for watching.
Coach Malzahn signing off.
Oh, God.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats.